Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla stock, let's go over the market, let's talk about what happened today, what we can expect moving into, really the rest of the week, and tomorrow we'll talk about as well for Tesla stock. And really just, what I personally foresee happening moving forward. So as per usual, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. Now, I, of course, am not a financial advisor. A membership section on YouTube is live. Also, if you're interested, that link is down below for just $2.99. I just, again, simply share my thoughts, post updates, technical analysis, options flow, etc. on Tesla and other stocks as well. Today, I posted updates for IWM and Amazon, actually. So definitely check this out if you're interested. But yeah, for $5 a month, you can also join. You get access to all that I just said, but also access to my NVIDIA daily updates as well. Again, if you're interested, link is below for the YouTube membership. We're jumping into Tesla closing the day up rather 1.5%, which is unfortunately going to be a slight underperformance compared to the market, with QQ also up 1.5%. So Tesla definitely showing a little bit more weakness than I'd wanted to see, but there are still some decent signs here that are promising, to say the least, at least for the short term. We'll see if that actually turns into anything more longer term bullish, obviously with the robotaxi event, etc. But short term, we're setting up what could be a little bit of a bullish situation here. So for instance, right, we are of course still hugging the pretty much roughly or really damn close to the bottom of this trend line. And that's number one. The fact that we're still holding that is a good sign, right? We did pretty much hold the 21 EMA, you can see here, right? Obviously we were pretty much right at it yesterday, actually closed ever so slightly below it. But when is this small of a close below, it's not a huge deal. And we ended up getting right back above it today, right? That's why it's not a huge deal when it's just ever so slightly below, like 21 EMA or whatever. Not a huge deal. But nonetheless, we continued holding it, right? Which is kind of like a trend, if you will, right? Same with the market bias, right? Market bias, we're also kind of holding it on with Tesla as well. So we're holding some pretty important levels that Tesla needs to hold. So those like trend indicators and just really holding the bottom of this channel, right? Very, very important. Now, again, as long as we hold this kind of bottom-ish area that we've pretty much been in for the past couple of days, like 240-ish, 239-ish, that's going to be something that, as long as it holds, Tesla can see a move back up. Now, the move back up, I, at the moment, see a move back up somewhere around 252, 253, something like that, right? And the reason I say that is because, well, first of all, that's the level that we did get rejected at also several days in a row, pretty much, right around that 252-ish range. So that's going to be important, but it's also going to be roughly where that red line is. Could be even as early as tomorrow, right? Around 252 to 253. Could be even as early as tomorrow of us coming back up towards this to retest that. It's a very crucial level to break above and hold and close daily candles because of several reasons. Number one, we would re-break out of this ascending wedge that we're in, which is the red line is the resistance of the ascending wedge. That's important to break back above. And in my opinion, that's the only way to get a possibility of us at the very least coming back up to 260s, but even getting a chance of breaking the high all the way back here of about $270-ish per share. That has to break, right? We have to get it back above that red line in order to trigger that possibility of even becoming a reality. At the moment, I wouldn't say it's a reality as long as we're below, but it's not completely impossible as long as we're above the bottom green line. So we're in a bit of a pickle here, I would say, honestly. We're kind of getting sandwiched in, getting tighter and tighter and tighter between a resistance and a support, and we need to break above that. On top of that, the reason also this 252-ish range is pretty important is, well, what I mentioned yesterday, right? We had that inverted head and shoulders pattern, which we're still roughly holding today, right? We're still definitely roughly holding it today. If I go ahead and bring my little crayon, it feels weird to say crayon because everyone always talks about eating crayons when you draw on charts. Anyway, whatever. The point I'm trying to make here is, this inverted head and shoulders, right? Obviously, this happens in a downtrend, right? So in this short-term it is a small inverted head and shoulders, but in this short downtrend that we were in, we set up this inverted head and shoulders, right? Which is a reversal pattern. So the way you want to look at it is really, honestly, I don't want to see Tesla lose the low of like today/yesterday, which is pretty much 240-ish. I don't want to see us lose that. That's number one. Number two, I want to see us break above the neckline. And the neckline currently sits pretty much at around 251-ish, right? That's why that 251 to 253-ish range is pretty important because, again, that's the neckline for the head and shoulders pattern, right? That's the, like I said, on the daily chart, that is going to be, the red line resistance, right? That ascending wedge, essentially resistance. Once again, it's becoming a resistance, right? So those levels, very important to break. And for the downside, 239, 240, something like that, very important to hold and not, going below it is already bad, but closing below it, like a daily candle below it, That's where it's pretty bad in my opinion, right? Because you can definitely go below, you can get some stop loss triggers, etc., and then it just ramps back up and still closes above. That's kind of where you want to be really careful with things, right? Because the market likes to sometimes do that. It likes to go below these levels just to trigger stop losses, panic sells, etc., then just to ultimately recover regardless and still close the day higher. That's why you want to be a little bit careful when it comes to those kind of situations. So, just FYI for what it's worth. Now, again, I want to make it clear. Those are the bullish scenarios, right? And like I said, if we break above 251 to 253, I think Tesla at the very least will come back up to retest these 260s-ish range. But again, like I said, it finally puts in the possibility of us breaking above 270 and making our way to 280. And best case scenario, in my opinion, will be 230. I don't think we'll go to 230. I think 280 will happen potentially if we break above 252, 253, right? Which will look something like this, right? And then I think ultimately we'll come back below. But again, like I said many times, I'll very quickly reiterate it. Breaking below this channel, this green channel, breaking under it and out of it to the south side, which we will at some point, but breaking it before breaking 270, in my opinion, it's pretty bearish. However, if we do make this move up and we come back up like this and break 270, make our way to 280 and then fall out, that's bullish, because I think this move down will be a bullish correction. While if we break below and let's say we do something like this, I think this will be a bearish continuation. Very big difference. Just my opinion, of course, just my opinion. That's just how I look at it personally. So we'll see how it plays out. There's still a lot of question marks in the air, but the levels to watch out for. Now let's talk about some bearish thing. Actually, no, before the bearish thing, there's one more bullish thing. Vol on Twitter actually mentioned this. I saw it briefly, but he kind of mentioned it and it kind of reminded me once again that, yeah, okay, this does exist. It's going to be this, right? So look at the two candles from today and yesterday, right? Today and yesterday, obviously yesterday we had a massive red candle, pretty much closing at the lows of the day. Today, a little bit of a gap up, ended up filling the gap fill, and then we pretty much closed that a doji-ish candle, right? It's not like a true doji candle, but it's pretty damn close, right? It's pretty close. The point is the fact that it's essentially setting up a harami candle, right? I believe this is a harami candle. Let me just double check. Harami candle, right? I mean, it's close enough, right? Close enough. You get the idea, right? It's essentially like an inside day candle. In this case, a bullish harami is essentially an inside day candle that's pretty much within a large red candle, which is like pretty much what we did today, right? More or less, it's close enough. But the reason I bring that up is because it looks very similar to the candles we saw over here on September 6th and September 9th, right? Massive red candle into a doji candle essentially that was contained within it. It's kind of the same idea, just on a smaller scale. So I don't expect a move like this to follow through. But, if we break above today's high, tomorrow, let's say, which is pretty much around 246-ish, that could be already a pretty good sign. That could already indicate that the trend seems to be, at least for the short-ish term, to the upside. And then you can expect that to make our way back up to about that low 250s, break above that. And I think at the very least, we'll see low to mid 260s with the chance of actually breaking 270. Now, the bearish aspect is pretty simple, right? Well, the indicators are still bearish. All my indicators down here, they're still showing weakness. They're still showing weakness. But the good news is the fact that, for instance, the stochastic, you can see it's already pretty much went almost to the opposite side of the spectrum, right? It's very close to now entering oversold territories. Now it's not showing any signs of curling or anything like that. So it's too early to say with any confidence that it's ready to have a bullish reversal, of course. But the point I'm trying to make here is the fact that, it did have this initial correction, but now as we're going sideways, it's still moving down, which is good because we're pretty much doing a sideways correction, which is a type of correction. Like I said, corrections don't always have to be a move to the downside. You can have a sideways correction. That is also, a very plausible way to quote unquote correct. That's kind of what we're doing. So that's number one. My indicators are still bearish. MACD is still bearish. RSI is looking a little bit on the more bearish side, I would say, but nothing too crazy, right? Technically, stochastic is still technically bearish. TSI is still technically bearish. BXChander is still technically bearish. Like the momentum is still technically bearish despite this green day today. So that's why it's not, I wouldn't say Tesla is out of the woodworks yet, right? There is more work to be done, of course. However, it's not looking too shabby either. And the second bearish thing I'm looking at right now is the fact that we actually we could be setting up a bit of a bear flag. And this is why these levels I mentioned for the bullish side are important, because we could be setting up this little bit of a bear flag like this, right? Move to the downside, we're consolidating sideways. And again, pretty much if we lose about that 239, 240-ish level, we most likely will start triggering this bear flag and make our way down. And I think we'll see probably low-ish 200s again. However, if we break above about, like I said, that low 250s range, like 251, 23, something like that, around there, if we break above that, this will actually nullify this potential bear flag that's setting up, because we'll make our way out of the bear flag, which will nullify it, pretty simply put, right? So again, we're in a bit of a pickle here. We definitely need to see how Tesla reacts. We need to see some more continuation, more follow through on the stock, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see how it goes. But technically speaking, just looking strictly in the most simplistic way possible, we are at the bottom of the channel. And I mean, usually when you're at the bottom of the channel, again, until proven otherwise, you expect it to make its way back up to the upper part of the channel. That's how channels work. You literally zigzag up and down between the channel, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. You just keep doing this until at some point it finishes. It will at some point finish. Nobody knows when it's going to finish. Nobody knows if it bounces from here and goes all the way to the opposite side. Nobody knows. The only thing we know is the fact that has it fallen out or has it not? So far, it's not. So naturally, we assume the next step is the opposite side of the channel. Back to the upside we go at some point or another. That's just kind of how these kind of things roll. So just keep that in mind, right? That's more or less how these channels work. Again, obviously, if we start losing the channel, if we start closing it daily below the channel, all right, that's a different story now. But until then, you assume the channel, which is a rising channel, continues rising. Pretty simply put, right? Without overthinking it too much. And that's just another way of looking at it, to, you know, just all BS aside, all indicators aside, just plain, simple, raw candlestick patterns. That's just another way to look at it. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think down below. Thanks so much for watching. And as per usual, we'll see you for the next one. Actually, we didn't take a look at options flow. Very quickly, options flow. Tesla is actually on the, I think I was on the bearish side. Maybe it switched. Actually, okay, slightly what's the bullish side on 5 million. Nothing really worth noting. Options flow over here on Cheddar Flow. Oh, by the way, Black Box, Cheddar Flow, great option services if you're an options trader and you like looking at options flow. Phenomenal products. Link is below. Discount code as well. But Tesla definitely more bullish and bearish overall in terms of options, right? Definitely you can see essentially a lot more green than red. So it's a good sign, but pretty slow options day for the most part as well for Tesla. But yeah, that's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for watching. See you for the next one. Peace.